investors to key into peaceful and investment-friendly climate to do business in the state. Administrative officers in the state civil service charged for dutifully carry out their functions. Reps order CBN Governor AGF 17 others arrest for ignoring summons. And abroad, U.S. Secretary of State says he's taking action against attacks by Israeli settlers on Palestinians. Mike. Oh my God. This one is big for TV.
Oh yeah.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on the Delta Television Main News at 8. Joy Uche is my name. As the budget defense for government ministries, departments and agencies MDAs continues, more MDAs have taken their turn in defending their 2024 budget proposals. Favor Okafo has details.
Enumerating the importance of unity in fostering progress in any given task, the Chairman House Committee on Education, Honorable Charles Emetulu, charged the management of the Ministry of Education and its affiliate boards and agencies to work together in realizing the set goals of the state government for the educational sector. Honorable Emetulu, who is a member representing Ndokwa West constituency in the State Assembly, said Governor Sheriff Oborowori placed priority on the education sector, hence the huge budgetary allocations apportioned to the sector. The Commissioner in charge of Technical and Vocational Education, Honorable Joan Onyemechi, Commissioner for Primary Education, Kingsley Ashibogul, and Secondary Education, Rose Ezewu, all took turns to defend their budget proposals. The committee chairman then asked the Post-Primary Education Board, the State Library Board, the Adult and Non-Formal Education Board, the Institute of Continuing Education, as well as the Scholarship and Bursary Boards to submit their budget proposals to the committee for scrutiny. Also, the House Committee on Housing, Women Affairs, Girl Child and Humanitarian Support Services, led by its chairman and member representing Ushimle South constituency, Honorable Bridget Anyafulu, implored the Ministry of Housing, led by its commissioner, Mr. Godnos Angeli, to work in line with the visions of the more agenda of the state government as the functions of the ministry was key to development. Mr. Angeli pointed out that the completion of ongoing projects across the state was its major focus for the fiscal year. The committee also met with the Ministry of Women Affairs, led by its Commissioner Honorable Pat Ajudwa, who is a non-sitting member. Honorable Anyafulu, who congratulated the non-sitting member for her appointment as commissioner, said she was confident of her ability to manage the affairs of the ministry.
Sure that your resources and the human resources that you have must be put in place in such a manner that your strategic planning for 2024 will be made in such a manner that the more agenda will be seen to the whole world, especially Deltans. I also said to them that the people are no more patient. They are not patient again. They are very, very impatient now. So they want to know what we can do, what the more agenda is preaching, and how we're going to implement it for them to understand it.
The Ministries of Transport as well as the Directorate of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs also appeared before their standing house committees. Favor Kafo reporting.
The state government has called on prospective investors to get into the peaceful and investment-friendly climate existing in the state, in line with the more agenda to do business in the state. The state deputy governor, Samando Onyame, made a call when he received president of a United States-based company, Zora Technologies, who called on him in his office in Asaba. Pere Butu has details.
Sir Oyeme said the Oborowori administration had provided the enabling environment for local and foreign investors to invest in the state, assuring them of good returns on their investments. The deputy governor affirmed that the state was open to investors in various sectors such as manufacturing, energy, oil and gas, education, health, and agro-allied, among others. He noted that the Kwale Industrial Park, established by the state government in Ndokwa West local government area, was a deliberate attempt to woo investors to the state, as the enabling environment had been created for their investments to thrive. Sir Oyeme said the state had a huge gas resources which investors could key into and invest in the sector, assuring them of government support in line with its policy on the ease of doing business.
Everything possible to ensure that this thing becomes a reality for us in Delta State. And we on our part will try our best to ensure that we clear all routes, all encumbrances, to ensure that you have a smooth sail in bringing this business to us.
The deputy governor said he was happy that an investor in security and a producer of medical test kits had indicated interest to establish a manufacturing factory in the state, saying it was a welcome development. He observed that the industry, when established, would create jobs and enable the springing up of other smaller businesses, adding that the medical test kit factory would also enhance the medical sector. Sir Oyeme told the investor that Delta was very peaceful and suitable for investors and urged the team to ensure that their plan turned into reality. The special advisor to the governor on trade and investment, Chief Tony Amechi, said the United States-based Zora Technologies Limited was renowned for its security services, adding that the chief executive officer, Mr. Stephen McDavid, served in the technology advisory team of former U.S. President George Bush and Barack Obama. He said the investor had indicated interest to establish a medical test kit factory in the state with its partners, adding that his office was working closely with him in order for it to be a success.
It became very, very competitive in Nigeria as so many other states came fighting to have this project in their states. One of them is Lagos State, that will happen seriously as we speak. But luckily, after a series of communications, meetings and all of that, Zora agreed with us that Delta State is very, very peaceful and it's very, very safe, and most importantly, is central to their plans. So they decided that they would work with us.
The chief executive officer of the Zora Technologies Limited, Mr. Stephen McDavid, said he chose Nigeria and Delta State to invest because of the prevailing peace. He told the government that the medical test kit factory would be producing kits for the medical sector and thanked the state government for its support.
The model that I'm proposing is sustainable, is scalable, and the ownership belongs to the key stakeholder, which is the government of Delta State. And it's about starting small. You know, we crawl, we walk, we run, and then we'll fly.
The visit was witnessed by the commissioners for economic planning, Mr. Sonny Ekedaye, Science and Technology, Honorable Odinigwe Daniel Odigie, the special advisor to the governor on trade and export, Mrs. Chemite Bello, Deputy Chief of Staff, Government House, Sir Chris Osakwe, and the chairman of Delta State Economic Zones, Cocoa and Kwale Free Trade Zone, retired Brigadier General Mike Undubisi, among others. I am Pere Botu reporting.
Hooray! Christmas season
season is here again. A time of merriment and fun. Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba is offering schools, individuals, organizations, business owners, and corporate bodies the golden opportunity to host their end-of-year party at the DBS premises with funfair and merry time. Some dates are already booked, so hurry! Register and your school organization will be added to the roll call of notable schools and organizations on radio and television. Also, your school and organization activities during the party will be aired on radio and television news. That's not all. Your staff and students will go live on radio to send Christmas wishes to their loved ones. To register your school or organization, visit Marketing Department, Delta Broadcasting Service, Asaba, or you can call 0803 778 1910. Date 11th to 17th December 2023. Venue DBS Event Place. Time 10 a.m. 2023 end of the year fun fair, loaded with fun and merriment. You're watching the Delta Television main news at 8. The state head of service, Mr. Reginald Bayoko, has called on administrative officers in the state civil service to dutifully carry out their functions to meet the expectations of the political class in governance. Mr. Bayoko made a call in his speech at the 2023 lecture series and interactive session of the Administrative Officers Forum of the Delta State Civil Service held in the Unity Hall of the Government House at Asaba. Deborah Uwaluo reports.
Mr. Bayoko said it was important for administrative officers to meet the expectations of the political class as they were the backbone of the civil service entrusted with diverse functions which would enable the government to achieve its agenda. He advised the administrative officers to be versatile, have courage, continue to retrain to gain more knowledge, and be competent and dynamic among acquiring other necessary characteristics to aid them in the discharge of their duties.
You are expected to be versatile. You're also expected to be competent, correct?
Yes, sir.
And adaptable to the device and dynamic challenges of public service delivery. But to achieve this, there's a compelling need for continuous training and retraining of officers in the cadre to equip you with the basic necessity of what you have to understand.
The head of service noted that the topic of the lecture series, the expectations of the political class from the administrative officers' cadre in the civil service, was timely, as it would enable the administrative officers gain more knowledge to aid them in working with the political class, to enable them deliver the more agenda of the Oboriwori administration. The resource person on the lecture, Sir Ima Okafor, a retired permanent secretary, said the political class expected administrative officers to be obedient to the laid-down rules of the service in discharge of their duties, while enjoining them to be loyal, confident, and knowledgeable.
Total loyalty, to the extent that you don't have discretion again. But the admin officer, or if you like, the top echelon of the civil service would say, no, we have rules and regulations, and I must maintain my professional integrity.
Sir Okafor urged workers to be tactful in handling issues to produce good results and service delivery. Deborah Uwalogo reporting.
The Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund, NSITF, has been identified as a well-conceived compensation initiative of the federal government for Nigerian workers. The Chief of Staff to Governor Sheriff Oboriwori of Delta State, Honorable Prince Johnson Erijo, stated this today when he played host to the management team of the Asaba branch of the NSITF. The report.
Honorable Erijo remarked that the passage and harmonization of the Employees' Compensation Bill by the two chambers of the National Assembly and its assent by the President in 2010 was a sure way of showing concern for the plight of injured Nigerian workers. He said the fact that the act, which gave rise to the birth of the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund, met the general demands of employees with respect to compensation, rehabilitation, vocational training, and empowerment in cases of incapacitation, made it a must embrace for government and employers of labor. The Chief of Staff, however, noted that not much was known about the NSITF, even with its beneficial programs, and advised the interventionist agency to reach out to the various state governments in order to achieve a greater compliance with the enabling law and make the NSITF more functional and relevant to the target employees.
From all you have said, and I've listened attentively, I think the scheme is a good scheme because this is global best practices, like I've said. So thanks so much for your coming. Welcome to Delta State Government. We welcome you formally.
The Asaba branch manager of the trust fund, Mrs. Honora Ifoma, said the act applied to all employers and employees in the public and private sectors of the nation's economy, including the three tiers of government, the organized and unorganized private sectors.
The House of Representatives Committee on Public Petition has ordered the rest of the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, Mr. Olayemi Kadusu, Accountant General of the Federation, Oluwatoyin Madin, 17 others over failure to appear before it for questioning on their functions. The motion for the rest was moved by Fred Agbidi of the People's Democratic Party by Elsa, noting that the rest was unavoidable due to the behavior of those invited, as they had been invited more than thrice without showing up. The managing directors of National Petroleum Investment Management Services, Ethiopia Eastern Exploration and Production Company Limited, Western Africa Exploration and Production, Altio Eastern E&P Company Limited, First Exploration and Production Limited, First E&P OML 8385 JV, Hertz Holdings Oil and Mobile Producer Nigeria Unlimited, are listed as part of the 17 CEOs to be arrested. Others include Shell Petroleum Development Company, Total Exploration and Producing Nigeria, Nigeria Ajib Oil Company, Pan Ocean Oil Nigeria Limited, New Cross E&P Limited, and Frontier Oil Limited. Mr. Agbede added that they should appear before the committee by the Inspector General of Police through a warrant of arrest after due diligence by Tajuddin Abbas, Speaker of the House. According to the petitioner, Mr. Fidelis Uzowanem, the requisition was on the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative report of 2021. Mr. Uzowanem noted that the report was a brief of the trades in the oil and gas industry for 2021, which NEITI could question. The federal government has said Nigeria will soon have the largest electric mass transit fleets in Africa. Speaking at the 28th Climate Change Conference holding in the United Arab Emirates, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Yusuf Tuga, underscored the urgent need for concerted global action to address the challenges of climate change. Mr. Tuga said Nigeria aimed to have the largest electric mass transit fleet in Africa and increase electric buses from 100 to 1,000, adding that the country was leading the fight against climate change in Africa by setting ambitious and realistic goals. The minister also stressed the critical role of collaboration, innovation, and shared responsibility in combating escalating climate crisis. Reaffirming Nigeria's commitment to its nationally determined contributions, Mr. Tuga underscored the nation's dedication to achieving net zero emissions by 2016. He called upon the international community to transcend political differences and work collaboratively towards meaningful and immediate climate solutions, saying there was need for financial commitments from developed nations to assist developing countries in their transition to low-carbon economies. The minister underscored the need to uphold the principles outlined in the Paris Agreement, as well as the need for all nations to commit to ambitious and transparent climate targets. Immediate past governor of Edo State, Senator Adams Oshiomhole, has called on organized labor to ensure that all workers in Nigeria are paid the 35,000 naira wage award to cushion the effects of the petrol subsidy removal before the Christmas celebrations. Senator Oshiomhole spoke yesterday at the 8th Quadrennial Delegates Conference of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, NASU, in Abuja. The former governor and former president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, said the money must be paid to workers in both the public and private sectors, failing which the employers must not be allowed to enjoy a peaceful Christmas celebration. President of NASU, Dr. Makolo Hassan, in his remarks, thanked President Bola Tinubu for approving the 3-month wage award of 35,000 naira to federal employees as an interim measure to cushion the hardship and suffering brought upon the people of the country as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has said it has started reappraising the federal government's proposed commencement of the 30,000 naira minimum wage, slated to begin in April next year. Speaking at the ongoing 19th edition of the NLC 2023 Hamilton School in Abuja, NLC President Comrade Joe Jairo said the commencement of negotiations of the new national minimum wage in 2024 will be based on prevailing cost of living in the country. Comrade Jairo, represented by the NLC Vice President Comrade Benjamin Anthony, said it was necessary for government at all levels to recognize that life and living conditions had become exceedingly difficult. He said the recent assault on workers and their leaders in Imo State posed a grave threat to the freedom of association and collective bargaining. The Hamilton School is part of the NLC National Schools, where it trains and empowers members of its affiliated unions through skills development. The federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, will be spending 138,066,187 naira to combat fake news and print calendars. Part of the sum will also be used to facilitate media appearances for ministers and organize engagement with social media influencers, amongst others. This is contained in the details of the 2024 appropriation bill currently before the National Assembly. A former Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, initiated an advocacy against fake news under the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari. In the 2024 budget, 24.5 million naira has been allocated for special enlightenment campaign on government programs and policies, testimonial series to gauge the impact of government policies on the citizenry. The details also shows that the government will spend 40 million naira to produce calendars. 30 million naira was voted for external publicity and engagement with foreign media. 20.7 million naira was voted for media interactions by ministers, influencers, and analysts on print and social media. The government also said it will spend 21.7 million naira on development of social media platforms and networking with other platforms. President Bola Tinubu submitted the 2024 appropriation budget to the National Assembly last week. A Nigerian-owned fintech company, Convexity Technologies Limited, has announced the launch of an application that monitors palliative disbursement and donor funding to stipulated beneficiaries. The Chief Operating Officer, Convexity, Mr. Adediji Owonibi, disclosed this after a meeting with representatives of the French Embassy, Abuja. Speaking to journalists, Mr. Adediji stated that the app, codenamed Charts, allows for end-to-end visibility of funds and aid distribution to the donors, the implementing bodies, and the beneficiaries in an efficient manner. According to him, the solution will resolve the issue of palliative diversion by tracking aid delivery from the donor or government to the NGO, agents, and stipulated beneficiaries. He noted that a digital solution involving blockchain technology has been developed. A Nigerian-owned fintech company, Convexity Technologies Limited, has announced the launch of an application that monitors palliative disbursement and donor funding to stipulated beneficiaries. The Chief Operating Officer, Convexity, Mr. Adediji Owonibi, disclosed this after a meeting with representatives of the French Embassy, Abuja. Speaking to journalists, Mr. Adediji stated that the app codenamed Charts allows for end-to-end visibility of funds and aid distribution to the donors, the implementing bodies, and the beneficiaries in an efficient manner. According to him, the solution will resolve the issue of palliative diversion by tracking aid delivery from the donor or government to the NGO, agents, and stipulated beneficiaries. He noted that a digital solution involving blockchain technology has been developed by the company to digitize the process, fund teachers' salaries, food items, and other donations as a way to address the decline in humanitarian funding and ensure funds get directly to the beneficiaries. The Niger Delta Development Commission has collaborated with large-scale farm holdings to boost agro-allied productivity and ensure food security in the region and the country at large. Under the scheme, the NDDC team, led by the Commission's Director of Agriculture and Fisheries, Mrs. Winifred Madume, will pay working visits to some farm holdings in Delta states, notably Adventium Songhai Delta Nigeria Limited, MPEC Farms, and Okemote Farms, all located in Sapele local government area. The visits were intended for physical assessments of their infrastructural facilities, a state of readiness to key into the initiative of the Commission. Speaking during the assessment visits to the various farms, Mrs. Madume noted with delight that the food security agenda, which she described as an initiative of the NDDC's Managing Director, Dr. Samuel Uboku, is in line with the policy of the federal government, which emphasizes stakeholders' engagement in the development process. And still to come on the Delta Television main news, U.S. Secretary of State says he is taking action against attacks by Israeli settlers on Palestinians. Details of this shortly. Stay with us. And thank you for staying on with us. If you're just joining us, you are watching the Delta Television main news at 8. And we are going straight on to the foreign scene. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said he was taking action against attacks by Israeli settlers on Palestinians. A top diplomat said the ban would also apply to Palestinians accused of violence. Attacks have surged in the West Bank since the start of the war in the Gaza Strip, triggered by Hamas' assault on southern Israel on 7 October. U.S. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller said the ban would affect dozens of extremist Israelis and some of their family members. The move marks the latest expression of frustration from Washington at the Israeli government's position towards settlers. Senior far-right ministers Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, both settlers, have been accused of seeking to downplay violence in the West Bank. In the recent weeks, Palestinians in the West Bank said that Israeli settlers are using the war in Gaza as an opportunity to seize land. More than 700,000 Jewish people live in more than 250 settlements built since Israel's occupation of the West Bank and East Jerusalem in the 1967 Middle East War. The vast majority of the international community considers the settlements illegal under international law, though Israel and the U.S. dispute this interpretation. The UN says it has recorded 314 settler attacks against Palestinians since 7 October, resulting in Palestinian casualties or damage to Palestinian-owned property. Authorities in Sierra Leone have arrested a bodyguard of former President Ernest Bai Koroma over links to last month's Fred coup. Amadou Koita, an ex-soldier, was arrested on Monday alongside two police officers accused of harboring him, Sierra Leone's Information Minister Chano Bar said on Tuesday. He added that Mr. Koita was at the top of the wanted list. On 26 November, gunmen broke into an armory in several prisons in capital city Freetown, freeing almost 2,000 inmates. At least 19 people, including 13 soldiers, died in the violence, according to the army. The detention of Mr. Koita and his accomplices brings the total number of arrests over the coup attempt to 60. The government on Monday announced that it had arrested 57 people, including 37 military personnel, 10 civilians, 4 dismissed military personnel, 5 police personnel, and a retired police officer. And back home, a cloud of uncertainty hangs over Nigeria's oil sector as the state-owned Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) implements a controversial shift in how it prices its crude cargoes. The move, effective next month, has sent shockwaves through the trading community and raised concerns about potential erosion of the country's oil revenue. At the heart of the issue lies NNPC's decision to abandon the established practice of basing cargo prices on the 5-day average of dated Brent settlements after loading. Instead, the company will adopt a system that anchors prices to the entire month's average of dated Brent, a broader and potentially more volatile benchmark. Traders who spoke to Bloomberg said the switch will make Nigerian cargoes more prone to the kind of volatility that besets wider oil markets. According to the circular, NNPC plans to stick with initial nominated loading dates for pricing purposes. As of June 15, 2023, when the Naira was allowed to float, the country's gross fixed reserves stood at country's gross forest reserves stood at $34.62 billion. However, the foreign exchange reserves fell to $32.97 billion as of December 1, 2023, shedding $1.65 billion, according to data from the CBN. The decline in the forex reserves has been blamed for the fall in the Naira rate and has been attributed to the limited capacity of the country to earn foreign exchange from both non-oil and oil exports and increasing forex demands, which has seen the Naira weaken by more than 40% since June. In July, the Apex Bank noted that accrual to external reserves remained weak, while foreign exchange demand pressures persisted. During the bank's Monetary Policy Committee meeting, one of the members, Mr. Obadan Mike, highlighted that amid some abating demand, the fundamental problem of the foreign exchange market remains inadequate foreign exchange supply, reflecting low productivity of the economy, inadequate export earnings, and limited foreign capital inflows. He expressed worries that the country's external reserves was in an uncomfortable position and was a key concern for the domestic economy. Recently, the Economist Intelligence Unit, in its Africa Outlook, disclosed that Nigeria did not have enough in its forex reserves to back up its exchange rate unification policy. And now we're going to join Shirley Saxon Udo for some sports stories. Stay with us.
News. I'm Shedrack Saxon Udu. The Super Falcons of Nigeria have secured their qualification ticket to the 2024 Women's African Cup of Nations in style after their victory over the Blue Sharks in Prague, Cape Verde. The 9-time Alcon champions entered the game yesterday with full confidence after their comfortable 5-0 win in the first leg. Falcons dominated the game expectedly, but it was the hosts that scored first in the 8th minute through Ivana Morera and were able to protect the lead going into halftime. The Justin Madugu total side upped their game in the second half and were able to get the equalizer through Esther Okoronkwo in the 62nd minute. Atletico Madrid feminine striker Rashida Tajibade gave the Falcons the winning goal in the 92nd minute to end the game 1-2. With the result, Nigeria has progressed to the competition proper with a 7-2 on aggregate. Prolific Nigerian striker Victor Osimhen capped a remarkable year by deservedly being crowned Italian Footballers Association Player of the Year. The Napoli marksman scored 26 goals in 36 appearances last season to propel the Neapolitans towards a first Scudetto since 1990. Osimhen claimed the individual award during a ceremony where the AIC team of the season featured 4 of his triumphant teammates. Despite reported interest from several clubs in the summer, the 24-year-old Osimhen remained in Naples and is repaying that loyalty emphatically. Osimhen has already netted another 6 league goals this season to help coach Walter Mazzuri's Entertainers to be among the Serie A pace setters once more. With Napoli hunting further glory, more achievements likely a way to reinforce Osimhen's dramatic elevation into global superstardom. Following his 8th place finish in the 2023 Men's Ballon d'Or, the striker will hope to become the first Nigerian player to claim the CAF Men's Player of the Year award trophy since former Arsenal striker Wako Karu did so in 1999. The Honorable Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Owan Eno, convened a high-level meeting this morning with the leadership of the Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, and coach of the Super Falcons, Super Eagles, Ozzy Pasero, to deliberate on strategic plans and preparations towards the 2023 African Cup of Nations, AFCON. The collaborative session held at the Minister's office in Abuja focused on fostering synergy and solidifying a comprehensive roadmap to ensure optimal preparations and success for the Nigerian national football team at the highly anticipated tournament. Senator Eno reiterated government's unwavering support for Nigerian football and emphasized the significance of meticulous planning and cohesive strategies to prepare the national team to victory at the AFCON. He stated that the AFCON represents a pivotal opportunity for the national team to showcase its strength and resilience on the continental stage. The meeting underscores the ministry's commitment to providing all necessary support and resources to ensure Super Eagles' readiness and competitiveness at the tournament. Speaking at the meeting, NFF President Alhaji Ibrahim Gusau assured Nigerians that there is no need to panic as all hands are on deck working around the clock to ensure the country flies high at the AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire. He added that the NFF is committed to making sure the country performs well at the championship. Super Eagles coach Ozzy Pasero conveyed his appreciation for the collaborative efforts and reiterated his commitment to steering the Nigerian national team towards excellence. He highlighted the significance of robust preparation and emphasized that the technical crew will work with the players to sort out grey areas and bring joy to Nigerians. The minister commended the dedication and professionalism exhibited by Coach Pasero and the NFF, stating that necessary efforts are going to settle outstanding issues with the coach and assured him of an enabling environment to help the team thrive. As the tournament draws nearer, Senator Eno assured football enthusiasts of the government's continuous support and urged Nigerians to rally behind the national team as they prepare to compete at the highest level of African football. The NFF delegation at the meeting also included First Vice President Felix Anyasi-Agu, General Secretary Dr. Mohamed Sanusi, Technical Director Augustine Guavon, Chairman Technical Committee Sheriff Inowa, and Director of International Competitions Dayo Enebi. The tournament will be held in Cote d'Ivoire between January 13 and February 11, 2024, as Nigeria battles Cote d'Ivoire, Equatorial Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau in the group. And that's the news from the ever-busy and exciting world of sports. I'm Shedrack Saxon-Odu, back to Joy for the rest of the bulletin. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Shady Saxon there. And that's our news. Here's a thought for the day. Keep your face always towards sunshine, and shadows will fall behind you. And just before we go, here are the highlights of the news. The state government has called on prospective investors to key into the peaceful and investment-friendly climate existing in the state, in line with the MORE agenda to do business in the state. The state deputy governor, Sir Monday Oyeme, made the call when he received the president of a United States-based company, the Zora Technologies, who called on him in his office in Asaba. The state head of service, Mr. Reginald Bayoko, has called on administrative officers in the state civil service to dutifully carry out their functions to meet the expectations of the political class in governance. Mr. Bayoko made the call in his speech at the 2023 lecture series and interactive session of the Administrative Officers Forum of the Delta State Civil Service held in the Unity Hall of the Government House, Asaba. Representatives, the House of Representatives Committee on Public Petition has ordered arrest of the Central Bank of Nigeria's governor, Mr. Olayemi Kadusu, Accountant General of the Federation, Oluwatoyin Madin, and 17 others over failure to appear before it for questioning on their functions. The motion for the arrest was moved by Fred Agbede of the People's Democratic Party, Bayelsa, noting that the arrest was unavoidable due to the behavior of those invited, as they had been invited more than twice. Without showing up. And from abroad, we did report that U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said he was taking action against attacks by Israeli settlers on Palestinians. The top diplomat said the ban would also apply to Palestinians accused of violence. And that's our news. So thank you so much for watching. Joy Uche is mine. Good night.